Hey everybody, Barry here with Station Road Rat Rods again. Today we're going to be looking at replacing the fuel pump in 99 to 03, maybe 99 to 06 Chev trucks. This is the one with the plastic outlets on it, so I'm not sure if it goes up to the newer ones. I know the 07 and up for sure have the steel lines that like to rust out, but that's not what this video is. So let's get into it, see what we got. This vehicle in particular is an 02 Escalade with LQ9 6 liter, so I'm not sure if it applies to all the Chev trucks, but this is what we have. This is the fuel pump here. I don't really need to do a video on how to take the pump out or the tank out. I'm sure you already know that. And I didn't want to get into this because it put me in a real bad mood because look how rusty it is. It is disgusting. I might end up replacing it, who knows. But this is sort of a just get it running, get it moving kind of thing. Let's get all this nasty old gas out of this. The gas smells awful too. We get that pretty much emptied out. This is just going to be a quick video on how to replace the pump. I don't know if this is for, this video mainly is for replacing a bad pump or upgrading, but I guess it can be both. I got a Walbro 450 that I'm going to be putting in this, and it should be a pretty straightforward swap. So let's get in. So in order to remove the pump basket, we got to take off this casing here. This is what houses the actual pump. So we got to get rid of, or sorry, compress this clip here and this one over here at the same time. That way when we push these tabs together, we'll be able to pull the whole pump housing off. These wires are kind of hard to get out of this spot here. Okay, so now we can see the actual pump. So I got the basket separated from the pump assembly. Just had to unplug the fuel pump connector here that plugged in right there. So that separates and makes it a lot easier to work on. And I think the pump should come out relatively easy now. Oh, here we go. So it just comes off. Now there is this plastic hose here that comes from the top of the pump up into the main line right here. That's the one that goes up to the engine. So I'm gonna have to cut that up here. We got it separated. After a bit of fighting, I cut off the plastic hose. I cut it away from the pump just to give myself some room. And what we're left with is this barb. It's about a ½ inch long, but it's a really aggressive barb. So we can get one fuel injection clamp on there, and that should hold it quite tight. Shouldn't slip off any. And we're going to be using 250 psi barricaded fuel hose from Gates, so that'll be perfectly fine also. Hello, Mr. Spider. You want to learn about fuel pumps too? This Walbro pump that we're going to be using also has a barbed end, so the fuel hose will slip right down over that. You might get 2 clamps on this one, but probably 1. But in my experience with it, I've done it before with 1 clamp. It'll work fine. I like to double clamp everything, but sometimes you just can't. And where this is inside the fuel tank, if it does bust off and leak, the worst that's going to happen is it's going to shut off due to lack of fuel pressure. It's not going to spray gas anywhere and get a big, you know, make a bomb or anything. So that's the worst that can happen there. This is a test fit. I had the pump kind of laid in place. It doesn't fit very well. I'm sure there's better drop-in methods than what I'm doing here, but I'm just trying to get the rig running. So we have to line up this hole, this barb fitting here, with the outlet for the pump. And all I gotta do there is cut off probably 4 inches of hose, clamp it on here, bring it down here and clamp it, and then the pump will be secured in there. This one's got a connector on it, which I'm going to keep on there, and it's got a pigtail, but it came out of this truck. This is my Turbo LS truck that needs this big of a fuel pump, but it's away for the winter, so I don't mind using it in the winter beater, which is this thing. So I need that connector still. I'm just going to cut the ends off the other part of the pigtail and wire them into the black and grays for this pump here. The pump is connected to the housing. Get it clamped up here. This is the bolt style fuel injection clamps. They're really good. They put it nice and tight. Another one down here. Usually with a regular size 3/8 barb, I can get these to bottom out the whole way, but this the pump and the housing had a really aggressive barb on it, so I'm sure that it's not going to come off anyway. Next we'll get this bottom housing put on here. That'll hold all this in place. I know it's kind of squished there, but it should line up half decent when it's put in. And then we'll get at the electrical. I dropped the phone. So it's snapped into place here, there. Line looks good. It's not kinked or anything. Now we just got to plug in this one up to the bottom of the housing and cut these 2 wires, connect them onto the pigtail for the pump. This is the connector that plugs into the Walbro. These are the 2 ends that I had on it because I had them hooked up to bolts in the fuel cell for the right rod. So this plugs in here. If I can do it one-handed. There we go. Now all I have to do now is get the positive and negative on these 2 ends cut off and connect it onto the gray and black wires. Those 2 off, cut these 2 off because I don't have the original pump back in it anymore, and now we'll skin and join them. And I forgot my wire strippers at work, so we'll go get those and continue back at it. Okay, we're back at the shop. What we have to do now is cut and splice these wires. We'll strip the ends off of these. These are the best wire strippers I've ever used. I love them. Oh, here we go. This out of here. That's better. I'm using double wall heat shrink. It's got glue inside of it. It's wicked stuff. Probably not even necessary to use heat shrink actually, because all the connections on this are open anyway and everything is submerged in gas. But I like to, just to make sure the wires don't come apart. And I am soldering them, so it's like double overkill. This was submerged in gas, so it's catching fire. soldered. This one connection done. Nice and even. It's kind of hard to focus on it, but... And then we'll do our heat shrink. You can see the glue sort of oozes out of the end of it. That's when you know you've got a nice watertight seal. It's not going to allow any corrosion in. Like I said, probably overkill here, but I like to do it anyway. So let it cool down for a second. Perfect. So now we're all connected up. Now we can plug the pump back into the housing. See if I can get my hands up there. I remember how this connects now. Okay, this way. It's going to be a royal pain. There's only one way I can plug in, so you can't get it wrong. Click. And we're ready to go. This will just kind of sit next to here somewhere like this, just floating. Lots of room for the float to move up and down. And I think we're pretty much ready to go. So that's pretty much it for this video. I'm going to go home now, put the sending unit back in the tank, get it all hooked up, plug it back in and try it. Hopefully the fuel filter isn't plugged. If it is, I'll have to change that too. But the way the gas was spitting and spurting out of it, it wasn't working very well. And the pump sounded awful. So hopefully the next video will be driving it down the road under its own power and not having any issues. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good night.